and continuous skills training as one of the ways to market their innovations in the country and also abroad. A very key aspect right there. Commercialization of innovations. Of course, the innovation you make, it's not necessarily that it's going to just stop at operating within the country, but it should go across borders, right, to ensure that you can actually benefit from that particular aspect and make some good money from it. Of course, experts say, just a brief hit on this report, experts say that the market for products in fields such as information and communication technology is worldwide. Therefore, local developers are required to cultivate measures to enable them to compete globally. So you shouldn't just make sure that you only event for the local market, but there is a way out. You can event and you tap into the global markets, and of course for profitability, and also helps you to earn an extra income regarding that particular aspect. And the fact that Uganda is joining the rest of the world to get into the digital transition, that's something very important, something that should be taken into great considerations regarding that. Okay, and still looking through the new vision to see what's making headlines here. Government issues new guidelines on salary and of course pension. And of course, when I do read this particular aspect, the Ministry of Public Service has issued a new payment guidelines to ministries, departments, agencies, and local governments. And of course, the move is aimed at curing distortions in the payrolls. New scheme, of course, new guidelines should be put there, and of course, to ensure that the payrolls are made right, and that's regarding the government workers in this particular aspect. The new guidelines released by Catherine Musigure, the permanent secretary in the Public Service Ministry, require that all accounting officers in the MDAs and LGs are to process human resource data entry forms, data capture and approvals that between every 20th day of the previous month and 60th day of the pay month. All right, still looking at seeing what's making headlines in the new vision. As I see, Toyota recalls 500 vehicles over safety concerns. Wow. Dealers of Toyota vehicles in Uganda have recalled about 500 Toyota Hilux vehicles due to defects and safety concerns about the airbags. And according to Toyota Uganda, CFO Motors, the airbags for the Toyota Hilux cars manufactured between that's 2011 and 2016 have been discovered to have a factory defect and need to be replaced immediately. The vehicles had been sold. So if you're actually driving those models, make it a point to ensure that actually you return back the airbags have the issue. And of course, talking about the airbags, that's the aspect that when the car crashes, there is that bag that comes and covers you to protect you from being hurt. So you see, if you don't respond to that, you're putting your life in danger. So Toyota recalling over 500 vehicles. And now still into the world of business, still in the same particular print media, Germany, Uganda in talks over that technology transfer. The governments of Uganda and Germany are in discussions on how to cooperate in several areas, especially in the area of technological that's transfer. According to a statement here, in just 2 weeks from now, the delegates will fly to Germany to discuss the partnership for the next 2 years, so that we understand where we should focus. That's Matthias Saka, that's the Germany ambassador to Uganda, making that particular statement there. He said energy and technological transfer to Uganda were some of the areas being explored. Of course, the envoy was speaking on the sidelines on the launch of the smart classrooms at the International, that's University of East Africa in Kansanga, Kampala. Okay, that's it regarding that. And of course, when I still look through more regarding this, I want to see what really is making headlines in terms of business. Okay, all right, let me drop the new vision and get straight to the Daily Monitor because they have limited time right here. And we have to get into the international news as fast as we can. All right, local farms cash in on oil sector tenders. And of course, last week's news of the arrival of the parts of the King of Fish, that's oil field drilling, was widely celebrated as another breakthrough for Uganda, getting closer to commercial oil production. That's in the last quarter of 2025. One key detail footnoted the celebrations is that local company DDG Logistics was subcontracted to haul, of course, the rig that's from Mombasa. Of course, that's regarding that particular aspect as local farms cash in on oil sector tenders. Okay, of course, due to the interest of time, I'll go straight. This time around, let me do the East African and look through the world of business. And of course, I have to get straight to page 33 as I was directed from the very top to see what's making headlines. And now this time around, we are looking at East African as a globe. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm right here, and according to what I'm seeing here, Kenya should resist pressure to subsidize consumption as it helps, of course, the wealthy. That's according to a statement the advisor of Jiga spoke to Vincent Owino, the Kenya's priorities, that's for economic reforms. And just a brief hint on this, President William Ruto should emphasize the importance of small and medium enterprises, of course, to develop the formalization of the information sector. These will be key drivers to economic progress. The new administration should prioritize the development of the manufacturing sector, accompanied with the SMEs. That's according to that's the advice being given to the presidents. That's the advice is from Jiga spoke. That's Vincent Owino regarding Kenya's operations and advising the new regime on how to run operations. And of course, that's it for this particular segment. And now let's get into the international news and see what's making headlines in the world of business cross borders. Okay, and we are going to start with Nigeria as the World Bank approves that's a 750 million credit that's to boost Nigerian reforms. The World Bank has approved about 750 million US dollars credit line for Nigeria to help the country push through reforms to attract investment and create jobs. Of course, as I still review this, several states in Nigeria are struggling to pay wages due to revenues and are resulting that's to borrowing from the domestic bond market and banks to fraud infrastructure projects. The World Bank said Nigeria has made strides in improving business activity, but the country's ability to attract domestic and foreign investment has remained weak compared to the others. Private sector investment remains the primary means of creating more jobs, increasing that state revenues, and improving social and economic outcomes for citizens. The World Bank country director for Nigeria, Shabham, that's Chaudhry, said in a statement that was on the late Thursday. The $750 million loan would improve land stewardship and, of course, telecommunications infrastructure, public and private partnership, investment promotion, and the regulatory environment for businesses. That's according to the World Bank. All right, and now away from Nigeria, let's head to Kenya, as President Ruto wants to reform tax system to reduce inequality. Kenyan President William Ruto announced on Thursday that he would reform the country's tax system to make it fairer by making the richest people pay more in his first speech. That's to the parliament. Of course, the rich are going to be paying more, so that's going to be a progressive taxation system. Ruto said they are determined to ensure that Kenya's tax system responds to the needs of the economy, and they want to make it more progressive. Very interesting. The new tax system must be fair, efficient, and tax burden must reflect the ability to pay for every taxpayer, of course, said the head of state, a former chicken seller. All right. The new head of state also promised to tackle the debt, which has increased sixfold, that since 2013, to about 70 billion. That's US dollars. So you can imagine that something so remarkable. In a statement made by him, he said, "Our financial situation is not very good," assured Mr. Ruto, who served for 9 years as vice president to his predecessor, that's Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenya, an East African country of about 50 million people, is the region's economic powerhouse, but a third of its population lives now that's below the poverty line. And of course, the inflation has been quite a global aspect that the economic powerhouses, many countries have been really let down, including Kenya itself. So you can see the new administration is making quite enormous efforts to ensure that this is restored, that Kenya gets back to that golden age of economic progress. All right, inflation officially hit 8.5%. That's in August, the highest in more than 5 years, as the Kenyan shilling currency fell against the dollar. Okay, the fuel prices jumped in mid-September. That's in the countries after the government decided to drastically cut subsidies. Okay, and away from Kenya, let's cross over. Let's get to the Horn of Africa. And this time around, we are talking Ethiopia. As Ethiopia's fuel prices rise by 20%. Fuel prices in Ethiopia rose by 20%. That was on Thursday, September 29th, less than 3 months after the previous 40% hike as part of the phasing out of the government subsidies for petroleum. That's for petroleum products right there. And of course, first with the soaring crude oil prices this year, which are widening the state's that's deficit, the Ethiopian government decided to phase out all fuel subsidies in July. And of course, the ministry said to reflect the international market, new prices were set. That's on Thursday. The consequences were swift at the pump, and of course, the price of the petrol rose by 19.83%. That was from 47.83 to 57.5%. And of course, that's when we compare that, that's to 1.12 euros, and that of diesel and paraffin rose by 22.19%, from 49.02% to 59.90 that's percent. And when we are looking at that amount in euros, that's 1.18 euros. Okay, in total, since September, petrol and diesel prices in Ethiopia have more doubled than increasing by 120% and 157% respectively. The fuel subsidies are reviewed every 3 months. Of course, every 3 months the fuel prices are reviewed in Ethiopia. The first stage of the subsidy removal in July saw the price of petrol jump by almost 30% and diesel by almost 40%. The government, which has a monopoly on the import that's a fuel transported by road from Djibouti, that's to landlocked Ethiopia, had already raised retail prices in December 2021, again in May 2022, and again back, of course, it reviewed that in May, that was 2022. According to analysts, they say the conflict in the breakaway region, that's in Tigray, which has been ongoing for 2 years, is taking a heavy toll on Ethiopia's economy because of the cost of the public finances and the reluctancy of the international donors and investors. According to the World Bank, the country, the second most populous on the continent, of course with a population of about 115 million inhabitants, is also one of the poorest in the region. Okay, and that's it for the international news regarding what's making headlines across borders. And at this particular time, it's just 10 minutes to the top of the hour. That's of 8 a.m. Let's get straight into the business tips and quotes. But firstly, let's review the business tip of the day. The business tip of the day says focus on leads, not sales. Content marketing compared with optimized website forms and intelligent email automation. Follow-up is critical to business success. Full stop right there. Think about that statement above. Let's continue. The approach builds trust by giving away free value before asking for someone's hard-earned money. You see that? Focus on leads, not sales. Content marketing. All right. Now, talking about leads, we can actually look about the quality of the products that you're putting out there. And content marketing, when we talk about the content marketing, the aspect we are trying to look at the quality of everything you're delivering out there, the substance, literally. If we are to examine that particular substance, what is really there? Is it worth to be on the market for consumption? Is it consumable by the different consumers? And of course, how you market it right there will determine the success of your business and how far you can go in terms of innovation. And when we talk about content marketing, it's a progressive aspect. Remember, content always has to be updated. The content of your subject regarding what you're putting up right there to the market, it should be updated at a particular time, because the market is always versatile and consumer preferences are versatile. Remember, there is enormous competition. There is a wide business environment right there. So it's important to always upgrade your content, and on ways you market it. The marketing strategies are very important right there regarding that particular aspect. And now let's wind this up with the business quote of the day. And on the business quote of the day, as written by Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, it's fine to celebrate success, but it's more important to heed lessons to lessons of failure. Well, failure is something that most of us really, when we hear this, we get scared. We're scared about failure, but it's one of the ways. It's just a part of success. It's the story of success. Like we all know, the person that invented the light bulb, quite a number of tests were done and majority ended up in failure, but this person didn't give up, and finally we see the bulbs that we use till this day. So it tells you that it's fine to celebrate success, but it's more important to heed to the lessons of failure. That as most of the people we celebrate currently today, we personally don't know their stories, but there has been a testation. Remember, at whatever career you're pursuing, at whatever business you are pursuing, there are always testations. Yes, you'll always be tested to see whether you're really worthy, qualified to go for that particular aspect. And of course, one of the ways you're going to be tested is through failure. Yes, as much as you celebrate the success, of course, remember that failure was at the back of that. So there is not such a thing like going straight forward. Like today, we always have this positive, this mindset, which is okay, by the way. It is okay to think positive. Of course, things have to work out. Things have to go your way. But at some point, there are lessons of life. There is a reason as why you might delay to get that success. There is a reason as why that failure might come your way. There is something perhaps you're trying, life is teaching you that is going to help you when you're successful, because handling success is a wisdom. You can be successful, but maintaining that success, of course, that can only be done from the lessons that you obtain from the times when you failed. It's exactly, of course, 54 minutes past 7 a.m., just 6 minutes to the top of the hour, 8 a.m. And that's it for this particular segment. And of course, we shall be returning with the coffee quarter. Good morning.